Okay, right now I am into my models.py where we have stored this model. Okay, this model currently holds the title, body, thumbnail, date and reads. Okay, this read was just to show you guys that how we can add a new field. We don't need that right now, I'll just delete it. But now we need a extra field over here that is going to store that which user created this model. Okay, and that can be done using foreign key. So now what is a foreign key? Foreign key basically means that currently into our system we have two models. First model is our blogs and the second model is our users, that is the database of a user, that what are the users that are currently registered on a system. That is one model which was provided by Django, and the second model is the blog that we have created ourselves. But now we need to connect these two models, that is a user is going to create a blog, right? So for that we need to create a new field called a foreign key, which means that a user data should be stored in this blog, which will specify that which user has created this blog. Okay, so that we'll create a foreign key, and to create a foreign key, first of all we'll need a variable, or we'll need an attribute to store this data, right? So we'll just give him a user, or we'll just give him post user equal to models dot foreign key. Okay, so now what model dot foreign key will take is, it is going to take a model name, and which model name is it going to take? To whom we are going to address this blog, or to where we want to connect this blog model. Okay, so we want to connect this blog model with our user model. So what we need to give in the foreign key is that the name of the model, that is user. Okay, and where is this user store? It is stored in Django, so we need to import it first. So what we'll do is dot from Django dot contrib dot auth dot models import user. Okay, so now we have imported this user from Django, and we are telling them to connect this user to our blog through a foreign key. So basically whichever the data is stored inside our user model is going to be selected, and that is going to be stored inside this attribute called post user. So that is going to tell us that which user has created this model for us. Okay, so this is going to connect this user model with the blog model. And another thing we need to specify over here is called wait a minute. Okay, so the attribute that we need to add to a foreign key is called onDelete equal to models.cascade. Okay, that was what I was searching for. So what this attribute does is, basically when we say onDelete equal to models.cascade, so what basically models.cascade means is that this is a property of database. It means that once a user is deleted, okay, suppose you delete a user from a database, then all the blogs that this user has created should also be deleted. Okay, so now what basically onDelete cascade means is that if you delete this user, this particular user who have created this blog, then all the blogs that were created by the user that you have deleted should also be deleted. Okay, so we cannot have a blog, but we, like, if you have a user, you should have the blog. You cannot have a blog without a user, right? So if you delete a user, this blog should automatically be deleted. Okay, so that is what means by onDelete models.cascade. So these are the two fields that you need to pass inside a foreign key, which is the name of the model that you want to link it with, and then you need to say onDelete equal to model.cascade. Fine. So now once we have created this foreign key, uh, let's try to migrate this, because we have made changes into our models. So I'll just say python manage.py. Okay, again it is going to ask me for a default value because we have created a new field. So let's give it any default value, 1 doesn't matter. Okay, so now what it is telling me that remove the field reads. We have removed one particular field and then we have added a new field called post user. Fine. So now let's migrate this. Okay, now all migrations are completed. Now what we need to do, whenever a new blog is created, we need to assign the user that is logged in to that blog. Okay, because when you are logged in, then and then only you can create a model. Sorry, then and then only you can create a blog. So whichever user is logged in should be assigned to the blog that is recently created, right? So into our views.py file, here we are creating a new blog, right? We are handling title, body and thumbnail. So now we also need to tell him that whichever user is logged in, specify that user to the new attribute called post user. Okay, so we have the user imported from the models in Django inside this folder. So now let's see how we can collect the user that is currently logged in. Okay, so for that we have a syntax over here. I think it is in views.py file. Okay, so the way you can collect the user that is currently logged in is by just saying, okay, so the way you can collect the user is by saying that the user that is currently logged in is request.user. Okay, request.user means the user that is requesting this new post function, right? This new post function is handling a request, and who is making that request? The user that is currently logged in. So what we did, we just take the user from the request and then assign it to a variable called user, and then we are going to tell that this new blog is created by this user. Okay, so let's check how we can do that. Okay, it is just the same. So what we need to do, once we have the request.user into our user variable, so we need to assign that user to the new blog object that we are creating, right? So we have title, we have body, we have thumbnail. So next thing we need to tell it that the post user, that is our attribute name, is equal to user. Okay, once you save that, so now the user that is currently logged in, that is the user that is making this request, is going to be stored inside this post user, and the new blog will be saved. Okay, so let's try to create this blog, and we'll be seeing that the user that is currently logged in is assigned to the new blog that we are creating. Okay, so let's go back to our website, and currently I'll log out. Okay, server is not running. So we'll run server. Okay, and if I hit refresh, I am currently logged out because I am seeing login and register. So yesterday we created a dummy user, so let's log in with dummy user. Okay, so now I am logged in into my system, and here you can see I have a new post button. So once I click on new post, here it is going to tell me to choose a file. So let's choose something. Okay, and then I have to enter a title, so I'll again give it first blog with user. Okay, and then for the body we'll just collect this lorem ipsum dummy text that we have, say copy, and just paste it over here. Okay, So when I hit post, this is going to give me my first blog. Okay, so here I have first blog with user, and if I go to my admin page, hit refresh. So okay, this is going to tell me that you are authenticated as dummy user. So let's log in with our super user, because this dummy user has no access to this admin page. Only the super user has the access to admin page, right? So you need to log in with your super user, and here you have a first block with user, and if you go here, you can see the post user. That means who have created this blog. You can see this dummy user has created this blog. Okay, fine. So this means that we have successfully created the foreign key with our user model and our blog model. Okay, so now whenever we create a new blog, we have not explicitly or manually given this dummy user over here, right? This dummy user came into post user because we were logged in as this dummy user. Fine. So whoever is logged in into your system will automatically be assigned to this attribute called post user. That means we know that this user has created this blog for us. Okay, so any doubt till here? The whole concept is clear of foreign key. Hello, is it clear? Should we
Hey,
move?
hi Tarun.
Yes, ma'am.
You explained this cascade. If someone registered in our blog
Mm-hmm.
and they have posted something that is inappropriate,
Mm-hmm.
so if we want to delete that user and the blog itself, then
Mm-hmm.
we have to delete the user. It means the blog will also get deleted, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You can either separately delete his blog from the admin page, but if you delete the user,
Okay.
then if the user has created suppose 10 blogs, then all the 10 blogs will be deleted itself.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So what are you asking? We cannot separate blog homepage for different user. I didn't got the point. What are you asking, Aishwarya? Can you just say it again with your mic?
Can we? Hello,
Ah, yes, ma'am.
I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Can we have the different statements? If I have created one user, then only my blogs will be there on that page and not the others one.
Yeah, we
Is
can.
it will be
Yes, yes,
possible?
we can create that separate column for my blogs. I think if we get time, we'll create it tomorrow. Okay, I'll show you how you can create my blog section.
Okay.
Okay, we can do
Thank you.
that. I'll show you. Okay, but this thing is clear how we did this foreign key and created this user over here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so with this
Yeah.
dumb user, let's create two, three more blogs, and I'll show you if I delete this dumb user, how all the blogs are deleted. Okay, so let's go back and quickly create two, three more posts. And I'll just paste the lorem ipsum. Okay, so here you can see we have two blogs, that is the first blog with user and second blog with user. And if I go to admin page and to the home, here you can see we have two blogs, and both the blogs are created. Okay, this is created by Taral because currently I am logged in as Taral here into my admin site. Okay, so that's why here post user became Taral, not the dummy user, because we have changed the login from dummy user to super user. Fine. So here you can see this first block was created by this dummy user, right? So if we delete this dummy user, okay, so if we go back into our users, and we have three users right now: super user, Taral, and dummy user. So if I click on dummy user, and let's say I want to delete this dummy user, so this also tells you that what all things will be deleted if you delete this user. So here you can see your user will be deleted, also the block that this user has created. So this user has created this first block with user, right? So one, if you delete this dummy user, then it is saying all the following related items will be deleted. So this user will be deleted and this block will be deleted. Okay, so this is how on delete cascade works. So this Django admin page is already warning you that if you delete this dummy user, then you will also be losing this blog. Fine. Okay, so I don't think it's necessary to delete him right now because we have only one user currently. Okay, so next thing we need to do into our page is that here you can see we have a lot of text into our body, and it is not a very good idea to display all your body into the home page because then it becomes very lengthy and messy. Okay, so what we can do is we can just take the first 100 characters or first 150 characters till here and display only that, like a short summary or like a short snippet. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Is that let's go to our models. Okay, where is our model? Okay, this is not the code. Okay, so if we go back into our models, here we can create a function. Let's say define snippet, and this is going to take again self as a parameter, and we are going to return self dot body. And we have seen how we can slice a string, right? We have seen slicing a lot into our Python basics course, and how we can slice a string by giving the indices. So let's give index for the body, which will slice it to the first 100 characters. Okay, and if I don't give the upper range, this will automatically take it as 0. So now this snippet is going to return the first 100 character of our body. Okay, so we will not be displaying all the complete body into our front page. We are only displaying the first 100 characters of our body into our front page, and that are stored inside this function called snippet. So what we can do is we can go to our home page again, and here instead of displaying the body, okay, instead of displaying the body, we can just display the snippet. Okay, and if I save this and go back and hit refresh, this is going to show me only the first 100 characters, which will give me an idea or an overview that what this block basically means. Okay, so now this looks much better because we have a simple description or summary, we can say, that will display only the first 100 blocks. And what you can do is you can just give dots at the start, sorry, at the end, and you can just say like this, 3 dots you can give. So that is going to show that there is something else to be written, right? This 3 dots will specify that you have something more to read in this blog, so just click on the read button. Okay, so now this looks much better. We have our blog ready with a snippet and a read button. Okay, also we have created the user, that when we click on this blog, we should know that who created this blog for us. Okay, so that were the two basic things that we, like, not basic, the additional things that we can do is we smoothen or we shorten the body into a snippet, and then we also attach a user with each and every block. Okay, so now let's handle this read button. Fine, till here any doubt? Anyone? Okay, so let's try to create this read button now. Okay, so if we go back to our code, and this read button is here, okay, that is in the anchor tag, and currently it is not having any href. So let's give it a URL. So what this URL will be, this will be read. Okay, and after that read, we need to tell the URL which blog we need to read, right? If we just give read, then it will be common to all the blogs, but we need to specify which blog we want to read, and the blog that is currently we are accessing, that is this blog in this for loop, we want to read that blog. So we can access it using a special property of model called ID. Okay, whenever you create a blog, Django automatically provides an unique ID to each and every block. Okay, so let's access that ID, and we can just access it by again saying blog dot id. Okay, so it is that simple, and you don't have to create explicitly this ID. Django automatically creates that ID for you. Okay, whenever you create a new blog, each and every blog is assigned a unique ID, and we can access each blog using that ID. So we are going to say read slash the particular blog ID. Okay, so let's save this and see how it is done. Okay, if I hit refresh and if I click on this read button, this is going to take me to read slash 1 because the ID of the first blog is 1. Okay, if I go back and if I click read on this, this is going to take me to read 2 because the ID of the second blog is 2. Okay, so if you create 5, 6, 7 blogs, each and every blog will have a unique ID. Okay, so it will going to tell me that this is the first blog that I want to read. If I go back, this will be the second blog that I want to read. Okay, so this is how Django provides a unique ID to each and every object that you create. Your users will also have a unique ID, your blogs will also have a unique ID. Okay, and using that ID we can access a particular blog. Fine. So currently we have a URL which is taking us to slash read slash an integer value, and that integer can be anything, 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, 500, anything. So now we need to handle this URL into a urls.py file. Okay, so let's register this URL into our URLs first. Let's go back to our code, and here into a URLs file we need to specify a path which is going to handle the read request. Okay, so what we are going to give here is path read, and then we cannot hard code the ID over here directly. Okay, if we give 1, each and every time it is going to look for 1. If we give 2, each and every time it is going to look for 2. But instead of that, we are going to tell him that look for an integer value whose name is ID. Okay, so this is how you write a dynamic URL. So this is basically a dynamic URL, which means that the name of the URL or the path of the URL is not hard coded, or it is not specified directly. The different buttons you click, the different URL will be requested, but the one thing is common, that it is going to start with a read and it will have a unique integer value that is called ID. Okay, so once this URL is encountered, that is read slash ID, then we need to call a function, that is, we'll name it as read blog. Okay, so now what's happening here is we need to create this function of read blog. Okay, so now we have successfully handled the URL that is taking us to read slash an ID, and then we have to call this function read blog. Okay, so let's quickly create this function of read blog. At the end over here we'll just write define read blog, and it will handle a request, but also it is going to handle an ID. Okay, so now that ID that we have specified into a URL is going to be a parameter of your function. Okay, because this function is going to handle your URL, the URL is going to request it, but also it is going to have an ID, right? So if we go back to our URL, here we are providing this ID. So this ID is considered as a parameter into your function in the views file. Okay, and we can use this ID to get the blog that we want to read. So how we can get the blog is that we can say blog equal to the model name, that is blogs dot objects dot get ID equal to ID. So now what this is going to do is it is going to check the object which has an ID equal to the ID that we are passing from the parameters. Okay, so the blog which has an ID 1 or which has an ID 2 will be returned to this variable called blog, and then we need to render this blog into our page. Okay, is it clear? What is happening? This URL is taking this integer ID as a parameter. Fine, and then we are passing that parameter to this function. In this function we are telling this model to get an object which has an ID equal to the ID which is requested. Fine, so now we have the requested blog into this variable called blog, and now we need to return this, or we need to render this to our front page. And how we can render is that we say return render request, and then the HTML page that we want to render, and that will be blog slash read blog dot HTML. Okay, once we want to render this blog, we need to pass it as an argument. Okay, as inside the home page we have passed this all blogs as a context or as an attribute to this home page. Okay, in the similar manner, here we don't want to pass all blogs, we want to pass only one blog that we have retrieved. Okay, so we can do that by saying again a dictionary with a key and a value. Okay, always remember, if you want to pass some data to your HTML page, you need to pass it in form of a dictionary. And what is dictionary? It is just a key value pair. Okay, so I have created a dictionary of the blog that we have retrieved from the URL in the form of ID. Okay, so now we have the blog that we want to read, and then we need to create this HTML page. So let's go to our template page. You will create a new file called readblog.html. Okay, again the same thing we'll do, we'll extend it from the base layout. Not base layout, sorry, we have to extend. Okay, and then we have to create the block also. And end the blog. Okay, so this is the regular thing that we have to do to extend HTML page, that is a base layout. And here we can render the blog that was passed by the function to this HTML page. Okay, so here we can just say inside an h1. Okay, here we can say the blog dot title. Okay, here we are not writing a for loop because we are passing only one blog. Okay, so we can just say blog dot title. Okay, let's see if this is working or not. If we go back, hit refresh, and okay, this is saying read blog.html doesn't exist. Okay, this read blog.html got into another folder, we need to pass it to the above folder. Okay, okay, here we can see that first blog with user was the title of our blog, right? So here we can create, once we hit on read, we can see first blog with user is been displayed. If we go back, if I hit here, we can see the second blog with user, that is the title of the blog is displayed, right? So that is how you create this read button. What we just did is that we assigned a particular URL to each and every read blog, and that URL is containing the ID of this blog, right? Each blog will have a unique ID that is assigned by Django once you create this blog, right? So as we click on read, this is going to ask for a URL read/1 because the ID was 1. Okay, then we went to a URLs file. Okay, then we went to a URLs file, and here what did we say is that if you get any URL with read/integer, then you call this function readblog. Inside this readblog function, we handled this ID as a parameter. We collected the particular blog that we want using this get method, and we say get ID equal to ID, which means the ID is going to be matched inside the database, and once that ID is matched, it is going to be returned inside the blog, and then we pass this blog into our HTML page. Fine. Once we pass this blog into our HTML page, inside the HTML page, that is readblog.html, we just gave out the title. Okay, we can make it a little bit better, is that using again Bootstrap, what we can do is we can create a div container. Inside that container we can have a h2 tag with class of text center, and we can just display out the blog.title. Okay, after the blog.title we can have and say h4 tag, and then we can say by that who has created this blog, and we can say blog.postUser. Post user means the user that have created this blog, right? And after that we can give a break, and then we can, in the para tag, we can just specify blog dot body. Okay, so now this is done. Let's check this, how this looks. Is if I go back, refresh and click on this, you can see here the complete blog is been displayed. Okay, here you don't see just the snippet, here you see the complete body, then you see the title, and then you see this dummy user. What we are missing right now is we are not rendering out the image of this blog, so let's render out that also. Before the, where we can render it out, at the top we can do is image source equal to blog dot thumbnail dot url. Okay, so now we have this image also with us. So if I hit refresh, this is going to give me the image. We need to resize it a little bit so that it will fit it. But here you can see that we have a complete blog ready over here. We don't have this small cards of a blog. We have a complete blog with the image, the title, the user, and the complete body. Okay, so let's try to change a little bit this image. What you can do is, here you can give an inline CSS using style equal to, and here you can specify width as, I'll say 300 pixel, and height as 200 pixel. Okay, once you give this CSS, this is going to basically change it to a better form. Okay, you can give any CSS class you want. You can make it center, you can make it wider, you can make it darker or brighter. I'll leave the designing part up to you. You can learn CSS and Bootstrap and basically make this look better, but the basic functionality is clear. If you go back and let's try to see this blog now. Okay, so this is going to give me the the image, the blog name, by, and then we have this whole body of our blog. Okay, so is this clear how we can create this read functionality? Okay, this is telling me home. Okay, if we try to go back. Okay, so this is how we created this read button over here. I'll repeat once again. What we did is we gave a unique URL to each and every read button, and that we did using homepage, and we say the href should be read, and we passed in the blog ID inside the URL. Okay, once we pass /read/blog ID, then inside this urls.py we handled that path, saying if we get a read/integer path, then go to this function read blog and pass in the ID as a parameter. Okay, so if we go back to views, here we have just got collected the blog that is requested by using this get method, passed it to this readblog.html, and then inside this readblog.html we are just having the same thing, that is the blog title, blog post user, the blog body. And another thing we can have over here is we can have an anchor tag again, which is going to take back us to home, and I'll just give it a class as button dark, and I'll just say it return. Okay, if we go back, hit refresh, and if I want to read something, here you can see we have a small return button over here. Okay, we messed up a URL. We want to give here /home so that it will take us to home. Again problem. Okay, not /home, sorry, blog/blog/home we want to go. Okay, so now we are back into our home page, so we can read a blog and we can return to the home page. Okay, read, return, read, return. Okay, so this is how we create this read button over here. So what we saw in today's lecture is that we created first of all a foreign key, that is we assigned each and every blog with a unique user. So currently every blog will be associated to a user, that is we don't have random blogs over here. every blog is going to have a user, right? And then what we did is we created this snippet because we don't want our whole body to be displayed over the front page. So what we did is inside our models, okay, inside our models we created this function called snippet that is going to return only the first 100 characters of our body. Okay, you can give first 50 characters, first 150 characters, it's up to you, but this snippet function is going to return the first 100 characters of our body. And then inside our home page, what we did is instead of calling the body, we just called the snippet, that is the first 100 characters. Okay, so that is going to make it much better, because displaying whole body is not a good thing over here. That is, we'll be displaying it inside the read button, right? So we created this read button, and this is going to display our complete blog to us. Fine. So this is how you create a blogging website. Oh, any doubt till now? Clear everything? Okay, so let's see how we can do this filter, right? Sorry, this search button, because we'll be needing this search button if we have multiple blogs over here. Okay, so let's see how we can search a particular blog or search a particular keyword into our website, which will going to give us the blog related to that keyword. Okay, so if we go back where this search button is or the search form is, so this is basically inside our nav bar. Okay, so let's go to a nav bar, and a nav bar is inside the base layout, right? So if we go to the nav bar and look for search button, search is over here, and here you can see this is a complete form with a button, right? So this form has an input and a button, and that button is going to submit this form to a URL that we will be going to write. Okay, so now first thing we need, if we have an input, we should have a name to that input, right? So let's give it a name. We'll just give it search text. Okay, so this input name is search text. After we have a name for a form, we need to give it a method and an action, and the method will obviously be post, because we need to post this search text to a URL that is going to search a particular keyword, right? So for that, we'll do is we'll say method is post, and the action is search. Okay, so now we have a form with method, action and name for a particular input. After that, we need to specify the CSRF token for each and every form that we will be creating. Okay, and if that's done, let's see where this search bar is taking us. Okay, because we have given a URL and we have given a method, so let's see where it takes us. Okay, if I hit refresh and if I type in here first, and if I click on search, this is taking me to a URL blog search. Okay, so we need to create this URL, right, inside our urls.py. So let's create this blog search inside our urls.py. Where is it? Here. So after this read, we need to create another path which is going to be search, and then we need a function search blog. Okay, and inside this function we will just create, or we will just search the blogs that are required. Okay, and then we need to import this function search blog. Okay, once this function is imported, we need to create this function. So let's go back to a views.py file, and we need to create this function that will be define search blog, which will again handle a request. Currently we don't have any parameter inside our URL, so we will not be going into parameter. And now we need to say that, again we know that this form is posting to this URL, right? So we need to handle that post request. So we'll say if request dot method, again the same thing, equal post. So that means if something is posted to this URL, so then this function will work, right? So if you post a a text, then and then only this URL should work. So if request.method is post, then what you need to do, you need to collect that text, that is the search text, and it should be coming from the request post, and the name of that input field is also search text, right? So this is how you collect the data from the URL. So now you have your search text, and now you need to search inside your blogs that if there is some blog which has a title equal to this search text or not. So how we can do that is there is a function which Django automatically provides. Okay, so let's see what that function is. Okay, the function name is called filter, and it is going to take the title as a parameter, and it is going to check if the search text is equal to a parameter or not. Okay, so let's try to do that. So first of all, we need to check if there is some text or not. So what we'll do is we'll say if search text, that is the text coming from the URL, is not equal to an empty string. Okay, if it is not equal to empty string, then we should search something. If it is an empty string, then we don't need to do anything. We just have to ask the user an input. So if the search text is not an empty string, then what you need to do is you need to get that object, or you need to get the result of the search. So we'll store it inside a variable called result equal to blogs dot objects. Inside the objects we need to filter. Filter is basically the searching mechanism which Django provides. You don't have to write the searching code yourself. You just have to specify which attribute you want to filter. Suppose you want to filter the title attribute, that is we need to check if the search text is matching a particular title or not. So we just have to give title, and then there is a method called iContain. iContain means if the title contains a particular text or not. Okay, so these are just the attributes that the Django provides. So this filter mechanism is a Django attribute, and it is providing a method called iContain. iContain means to check if the search text is present inside your title or not. Okay, so if I spelled it correctly, yeah, it is iContains. Okay, so iContains equal to, so what do we have to check? If the title contains your search text, okay, if the title contains your search text, then return that into your result. Okay, so this is how we search for a particular blog in Django. What we did, we collected the search text, that is whatever the user will type into your search field. Okay, we collected it from the post request, and we checked if it is not an empty string, which means that is if he has typed something into your search bar, then what you do, you filter all your blogs, check the title, and if the title contains that particular text, then store it inside this result. Okay, and now next thing what we need to do is we just have to render a page that is going to display all your results. Okay, so we'll just do return render request, and we'll create a new HTML page, that is search.html. okay, and into this search.html we want to pass in this result so that we can display it onto the page. Okay, so we collected this result using this filter method, and then we are passing that result to the HTML page, that is search.html. Okay, so let's create this search.html. Inside our templates, inside the blog, we want a new file called search.html, and again the same thing, we need to extend this base layout.html and the blog content. So I'll just copy it. Okay, and then we also need to end this blog. Okay, and here we want to render out all the blogs that are coming from the result. Okay, so we need a for loop over here, because there can be multiple blogs that will be matching the same search, right? There can be multiple blogs with same title or which will contain same keywords. So what we'll do, for blog in results or result, and we'll just say end for. Okay, and here we'll just display out currently the title of this blog. Okay, inside, and we'll create an h2 tag. So what we are doing is whatever the result that we are getting is we are just pasting or we are just displaying the title of that blog. Okay, so if we go back and if I hit refresh and if I type in a keyword over here, that is first, and if I search, then it is stating iContents is not a field. Okay, let me check what's happening. Okay, so this is double underscores actually, so you have to create this title double underscore iContents. Okay, I forgot that actually, but the method that Django provides is underscore underscore and then iContents, not a single underscore, because single underscore will be considered as a variable name and we don't have an attribute called title underscore iContents. It is title underscore underscore iContents. Okay, so if we go back to our page and if I search for first, hit search, and here you can see our search is ready, which is containing the first blog with user. Okay, so let's search for another keyword. Let's have a keyword called blog. Okay, and if I hit search, now both the titles are returned because both the blogs have this keyword called blog. Okay, so if we search for, if I go back to home page and if I hit refresh and if I search for second, so this is going to search for all the blogs that is going to have a keyword second in their title. So if I hit search, this is going to give me only the title second blog. Okay, but this is not actually a good thing. We want the complete blog. Okay, and that complete blog comes from, if we go back to home page, here we have written this for loop, right? So let's take this for loop completely, copy it, go to our register page, sorry, not register, our search page, and here just instead of giving out the title, you can, or even delete this for loop also. Okay, and paste the home page as it is. But now instead of running for blog in all blogs, we want to run for blogs in result. Okay, because we are passing in result over here. So now whatever the blogs are present inside the result will be rendered out in the form of a card. Okay, so we just copied the home page into our result page, but instead of rendering out the complete list of blogs, we are just rendering out the blogs that are present in the result. Okay, because this result has been passed to this search.html through the views.py. Okay, here you can see this search.html is having an data called result. Okay, so let's try to create that now, and if I hit refresh, here we want to search for first. Here you can see only first blog is returned. Okay, so if I search for, okay, if I search for second and search, now you can see only the second blog is rendering out because that is the result of our search. Okay, so that is how you can create a search bar into your page. So let's quickly revise how we created this search bar. Is that this search bar was located inside our nav bar, right? And nav bar is inside our base layout. So what we did is we went to our base layout, and as we create any input form, similarly we created this input form, we gave the name to an input, that is the search text. we gave the method to our form, that is the post method, and we gave a URL, that is search. Also we passed in the CSRF token, right? So this is how we created the search input form. This search input form is posting this search text to a URL called search. Then we went to urs.py. Here we created this URL called search, which is calling a function search blog. Okay, and inside the views.py, this search blog function is searching that particular blog using the method called filter, and this filter method is provided by Django. And which attribute do we want to filter? We want to check the title. If the title contains this search text, if the title contains this search text, then that blog will be returned inside this result. And then we are passing that result to our search.html, and inside the search.html we are just rendering out the complete, what you can say, the complete result of our search. Okay, so it is that simple to create a search bar. Okay, if we go back to our home, and now if we search for a keyword called user, now both the blogs have this keyword called user inside their title. So if I hit search, then the URL has changed to blog/search, but still we can see that both the blogs are rendering out because both of them have this keyword called user. Okay, if I say only second, then only the blog that has second inside the title will be rendered out. Okay, so this is how you search for a particular blog inside your app. Okay, so any doubt in searching, just make sure you use the filter method and the I contain, that is underscore I contain.
Hello, Tara.
Yes, sir.
What if we want to search using a keyword?
Keyword means?
Any suppose if we have given filter, if we are writing a blog related to suppose happy or sad or angry, this kind of filter if we apply, right? And in that blogs, if suppose some keywords are present like happy sort of things,
Yeah. Okay.
and if we want to search that blogs, yeah, did you got my point?
So now what we did over here is that we created the filter method on a title attribute. So if you want to search for a particular keyword into the body, what you do is inside your filter method, which is over here in the views.py file, just instead of title, what you do is give body. So now what this filter method will do is whatever the keyword that you're typing, it will check if the body contains that keyword, and then it will return the complete blog into this result. Okay, so you can give the attribute name to this filter method by using this body. If I have to check for a user, then what I'll do, I'll just say post user. Okay, so it doesn't matter, you can give any attribute name over here, but basically blogs are searched by title, right? So we just give title over here. You can give any attribute you want to search inside this filter method.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so
Hello, Taran.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Can we have multiple search in that?
Like multiple keywords you want to pass in.
This means like post users also and titles also. If we forget that also, then we should remember what we have written. Then means keyword, any keyword like.
Yes, I'm getting your point. So what you can do is instead of having a search bar over here, you can have a filter method like a drop down. Okay, so in what attribute you want to search? Suppose I'll have a drop down over here. Suppose I want to search using the users. So I'll select that method and it will give me an option to enter a user. Suppose I want to enter a title. So inside the drop down will give you multiple options to in what attribute you want to search. Suppose I want to search with title. So inside the drop down you can select title and then you can give in the title. So that will be just what I can say, level up from the search bar. Instead of having one single search bar, you need to first have a drop down, select whichever attribute you want to search with, select that attribute and then pass in that attribute to your search function. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that will be little more complicated. Don't think about that now. Just I'll tell you if you have any doubt. I'll tell that afterwards. Ask me. But right now, just make sure you implement this simple search till now. Okay, so with that we have like 99.9% completed our simple blog app. What currently we have is we have a home page wherein we have all the blogs. We have a card that we with a image with a title with a body means a snippet, and then there is a read button. Once I click on the read button, I am going to see the image and all the text. We can even render out the date, right? We haven't talked about date attribute right now, but we have a date attribute for each and every blog that is automatically generated for each and every blog. So you can just render out the date also in some corner over here, and that is how you display your complete blog. If I click on return, I am returning to my home page. Then we have user authentication. If I go to logout, here I can just going to read this blog. This like so reading is fine, but you can see that I don't have an option to click on the new post because I am not logged in. I can read this blog, I can return to the home page, I can search the blogs, but I cannot create a new blog because I am not logged in. So once you are logged in, you have your login page, we have a register page. Okay, you can create new users, you can log in to the user, and once you're logged in, then and then only you can create a blog. Also, then afterwards we assigned each blog with a particular user using foreign keys, right? So what foreign key does is it links your particular model with the user model, and each and every blog will automatically be assigned a user. Okay, so that is all for today, and we have successfully completed a simple blog app. What in tomorrow's lecture we are going to do is I'll show you what more things you can do with Django, and how you can explore more about Bootstrap and Django also, what Django more provides, because there are a lot of things that we haven't seen. This was just a basic app. I'll tell you how you can hook up an external database with your Django app. I'll tell you how you can connect an AWS service or a cloud service with a Django app. We'll just have a little bit discussion about what more you can learn with Django in tomorrow's last lecture. Okay, so before that, make sure you have successfully completed your own simple blog
Hi,
app.
Tarun.
Okay, yes ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah.
What about and contact tab? We are not going to write.
It's up to you, ma'am. You can go to this about page and write it about your site. Okay, because anything you can give your contact pages, you can give your about pages. It's all up to you. That is not a very difficult task. You just have to give a particular URL to this button, and to that URL you have to render out a page.
Okay.
Okay, so you can do it, or if also you don't do it, it's fine. It doesn't matter. The designing of the site is all up to you. My part was just to explain you how you can create things, and it's up to you what you want to create and what you want to not, right? Okay, so with that we have completed our site, and make sure everyone is up to this point, and tomorrow we'll see more functionalities about Django and discuss what more we can do with this course. Okay, so that's it for today, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's last lecture on introduction to Django. Okay, if you have any doubt, let me know, put it on the groups and we'll solve it. Till then, good night, bye bye.